you think? Should we get this? Should we get this going?
Sure, let's go
Yep,
ahead.
ready to go.
Hi, everybody. This is Bill Gurley, and I've got Rich Beaudry helping me out here. And we're going to have Hallie Crawford come up in a second. And I'd like to say that we're terrific. We're glad to have you. It's terrific to have you on board. Last night was our chapter meeting at ADT, and it was a great chapter meeting. I don't know if any of you were there, but a point was made that we need volunteers, and we'd love to have you join our groups. And I'm going to get off this so the dog won't bother us anymore. But if you would like to volunteer in any of the COPs, community of practice, give me a call at 404-314-8985, and we'll get you set up with a volunteering job. So other than that, I'd like to introduce Hallie, who is a career coach and a terrific one, and she lives here in Atlanta. And Hallie, why don't you just take it away?
Okay, wonderful. Thanks everybody for being here today. We really appreciate it, especially on your lunch hour. So I am Hallie Crawford. As Bill said, I am a certified career coach and founder of HallieCrawford.com. I own my own business. And I have actually been coaching and training for just over 18 years. I know I sound like I'm 12. Through my scratchy, I have a cold voice here, but I'm actually 45, and I absolutely love what I do. And we are going to talk about 10 ways to get promoted in 2019 today, okay? So one of the things that I wanted to say first, though, is that I understand how it feels to not know how to get promoted and how it feels to look back on your career and feel like, where did the time go, okay? I understand that doing something like asking for a promotion or an increase in salary, something like that career-wise, I also understand that it can feel intimidating or overwhelming. And I know how that can be because I suffer sometimes from what is called the imposter syndrome. If you take a look here on the slide, we coach our clients on many different things career-related, on their career direction, their job search, and work performance as well. And a lot of them will tell us that they have this sense of imposter syndrome. And what that means here is that it feels like, or it can feel like to them, that their success is due to luck or outside circumstances rather than their inherent talent and their expertise or hard work. And sometimes I feel this way, so it's hard for me every once in a while to take a risk and step outside my comfort zone, like it might feel like to you, asking for that promotion. I know how hard something like this can be because a lot of times our clients experience this, and sometimes I don't feel so confident myself, okay, even though I've been doing this for over 18 years. Every once in a while, I will feel like my business is successful because of luck rather than the hard work that I've put into it. And we are absolutely great at what we do. Our satisfaction rating with our clients is 98%. It's fantastic. But every once in a while, I have those doubts myself as well about, gosh, are we really as good as, we say we are? And we know that we are because our clients are so happy. But I just want you to know first off, and then we'll get to our agenda here for today, that I understand how this feels. And we are going to give you 10 tips to help you get promoted next year that are very step-by-step and laid out for you, kind of in baby steps, if you will, to help you get over whatever fear you might have or concern about asking to get promoted, okay? So here's how to get promoted in, it should be 2019, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We need to fix that slide here. But here's our agenda. We're going to talk about 3 basic things. First of all, the 3 common obstacles that people experience in wanting to ask for that promotion, but they're not prepared. They don't take the time to get prepared in advance, and they don't present themselves as well as they could. That's one of the obstacles. So we'll talk about those first. Then we're going to talk about the 10 tips to get the next promotion next year. And I do want you all to think about these tips by the way, in the order that they're presented, okay? So it's important to work through these in the order that they're presented versus kind of skipping around. And then we're also going to talk about some 4 basic things to avoid to keep yourself in the running, so to speak, for that next promotion, okay? If anyone would like, in addition to the recording, because we are recording today and you will get a copy of that, if anyone would like a copy of the presentation itself, the PowerPoint slides, please feel free to email me at admin@halliecrawford.com so that you don't feel like you have to be frantically taking notes the whole time. I'd be happy to send that to you. Okay, so let's talk about the obstacles first. So why is it important to address the obstacles first? It's because applying for a promotion can feel overwhelming and it can be competitive, okay? So if you take a look at these slides here, or this first slide here, about some of the statistics and facts, an average corporate job can attract, 250 resumes, a ton of resumes. Out of 250 people, only 4 to 6 people are going to be picked to, come in for an interview. And a lot of employees are considering a new job. These stats are from Glassdoor. And this can make you feel even more intimidated by asking for that promotion, right? If you take a look at these facts and stats on the slide. But what we want you to do, instead of focusing on those numbers, is look at these numbers. The good news and the truth is that leaders are needed. If you look at these statistics as well, it shows you that companies are in need of qualified and engaged professionals to take the lead in their organizations and improve company performance, okay? So not all of the managers are engaged, so we need more engaged leaders. And at the top of the slide here, 80% or 84% of organizations are anticipating a shortfall in the minimum number of qualified leaders over the next several years, okay? So we want you to focus on the good news that we need good leaders and good managers. So we want you to go for that promotion. So here are some 3 common obstacles to applying for a promotion that we find with our clients, because we coach them on these issues all the time. So the first one is that they have, they don't have a sense of direction. They're unclear about what they want next. So the first obstacle is, or possible obstacle is being unclear about your direction. And you need to understand what holds you back in order to overcome anything, any of these obstacles in order to move forward. So one of the first things I want you to do, and then I'll start going through these with you guys in just a second here, but before you start to work on these steps, I want you to do a gut check here and think about which of these obstacles applies to you on the slide, okay? And go ahead, and this will be kind of our first poll, and I'll let you respond as I'm going through the slides here today. I'm going through this particular slide. I want you to think about which obstacle applies to you. Are you unclear about your direction? Like, do you think you want a promotion at your current organization, but you're not really sure if that's the right fit? Or is it more of a lack of confidence, or just flat out procrastination and you're not taking the time to do it? So think about that for us right now, and go ahead and fill in the chat box which one of these obstacles applies to you. So here's the deal with the unclear direction piece. You need to consider and think about, is my job satisfying, and would that next position, that next step up, be satisfying for me? Is it truly a fit for me? Would it leverage my strengths on a regular basis? Those strengths that I want to use on a, recurring basis, day-to-day basis. Do you want to even stay at your organization? One of the things you need to think about first is be really clear about the direction you want to take, or if it's time to make a course correction, go to a different organization or try out a different industry. You need to be clear about your direction first. The second possible obstacle is you may have a lack of confidence or a sense of that imposter syndrome, like I talked about earlier. You may have some fears or negative voices in your head that are saying, I don't deserve a promotion. I'm not ready yet. I'm not sure I can do that job, or I'm not good enough. You need to understand if any of these negative thoughts are going on in your head, or these fears, and are causing you to hold back in terms of either asking for the promotion in the first place, or presenting yourself effectively when it's time to have that meeting. And the final possible obstacle is just flat out procrastination. And we all have issues with this. I do too, totally understand it. It could be that you feel like, gosh, I'm not ready, even when you really are and you do have the skill set for that promotion. You might just, I don't have time to update my documents and my resume. I'll deal with that later. And then time flies and it's 6 months to a year later and you haven't done anything about it. Or it may be procrastination because you're not sure what steps you need to take, which is perfect timing for you being here today because we're going to show you those steps. So Rich, do we have anybody that shared with us their obstacles as part of our informal poll? If not, that's okay.
No, not from our attendees. We have 2 of them that are on phone call listening in, so 2 of our listeners won't be able to see the slides.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And
okay,
Bill,
no problem.
did you want to shout out what you wrote down there? Bill wrote, stay at organization.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So that's a question mark for you, Bill?
You're on mute, Bill.
Yes, that's my vote.
That's your vote. Okay, good. All right, good. So the first thing, thank you, Bill, for sharing. The first thing you all need to consider and think about, first step here is to understand what holds you back or may hold you back from making this happen next year, okay? And write that down for yourselves so that you understand what your obstacles are, because if you don't know what they are, you're not going to be able to address them and be able to move forward, okay? All right, so once you have identified what may hold you back from asking for the promotion or doing so effectively in terms of fears, procrastination, anything else, tip number 1, first thing you need to do is to update your resume, okay? So once you've identified those obstacles and started to move them aside, it's time to update your resume and LinkedIn as well, okay? So here are the 3 steps you need to take in order to work on your resume and improve it. So first of all, you want to take stock of where are you today? What have you accomplished since you last updated your resume and since your last promotion or when you were hired, okay? So take stock first, that's top left here, of, okay, what have I accomplished? And you need to write those things down to start to update your resume and what we'll call an accomplishments document, which we'll talk about in just a moment here. So identify what you've accomplished since then. The second thing you need to do is to establish your goals and a plan. Okay, what position are you going for? Is it at your organization? Is it at a different one and that's what you're considering, you know, a promotion, moving into another organization? Is it in a different department or in a completely different industry? Then think about the time frame you're looking at. Is the promotion available right now, or is it something that, you know, will be available later? When do you want to go for it? Is it the end of next year or the middle of next year? What makes sense for your organization? And begin to consider what steps you need to take, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And then finally, you want to refine your resume. Refine it for the position that you're going for. Here's one of the things that we recommend is to save a master copy of your resume that has everything on it that you don't touch. It's got all of your, you know, accomplishments, the results, everything else for every position that you have held. And you create your tailored resumes from this master document. Okay, so you don't mess with the master resume, you're copying and pasting what you want to include for each position that you're applying for, each promotion, if you're going to go for outside companies as well, let's say, and you keep that master resume with everything on it and you create it from there, then you don't get confused about what was what. The next thing you need to consider in terms of resume, just sort of as a side note here, is whenever you're sending it to someone, you want to create a PDF to send and a text version to place onto job boards as needed with no formatting. When you create a PDF version and you email it to someone, the formatting won't get all, you know, messed up when they open it in their own version of Word, okay? So here's the deal, everybody. If you keep your resume up to date on a regular basis, you can more easily apply for a position or for that promotion when it's opened up without feeling overwhelmed, okay? Now, take a look at the slide here for a moment. Like we talked about, you want to update your resume to reflect all of your accomplishments to date. In terms of establishing your goals, you want to establish and determine what position am I going for, where is it, and what is the timeline that I want it, you know, to achieve that goal, okay? And then finally, as we said, you want to personalize your resume for the position you want every single time. Save that master copy of your resume, okay? And we recommend, by the way, that you update your resume every 6 months at a minimum, because there's too many things that you're going to forget that you have accomplished, or kudos from a client, or an email from your boss or whatever it is, too many things that you'll forget. So we want you to keep these kind of in a running accomplishments document, which we'll actually talk about on the next slide. So I'm curious how many on the phone today, if you can share, how many keep your resume up to date. And when we say up to date, it's every 6 months, okay? So we're hoping that number is large. And Rich, if anybody shares, just let me know. I'm gonna keep going with the slides here, okay?
Sure thing.
All right, so tip number 1, as we said, is update your resume. The second thing you need to do, everyone, though, is separately from your resume, create a document on your desktop or somewhere, that's handy for you, where you can regularly record anything from accomplishments, okay? And if you take a look at the slide here, here are things that you wanna create and put on your accomplishments document, okay? You wanna record testimonials from clients, write down compliments from coworkers, awards that you've received in the past year or so, classes that you took that you should add to your resume or, reference in your cover letter. This is where, again, you need to keep this running document because it's too easy to forget what people have said to you, any kudos that you've received, okay? And if it's in an email, you want to copy and paste that into your accomplishments document. You need to keep it easily accessible so that you can easily update it on a consistent basis. Remember that with your accomplishments, if there's, with the accomplishments, if it's a project you completed or something else, you want to make sure that you write it in terms of measurable results, okay? So I would section out your accomplishments document into several pieces. The sections would be measurable results, it would be testimonials, or compliments from clients, coworkers, or supervisor, awards that you received, classes you've taken, or projects that you completed, and again, make those measurable, okay? And we would suggest that you take about 10 minutes every month to review this and put it on your calendar as a reminder, okay, what do I need to add to my accomplishments document? Because then you'll have all of this ready to go and handy. If something happens, even outside of getting a promotion, if something happens and you need to, be really quick about updating your resume and your materials so that you're ready to go for that next step, okay? And just by the way, before we move to tip number 3 here in the next slide, when you're updating your resume, you also want to update your LinkedIn profile. Here's the deal with LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile should, to a certain extent, mirror what is on your resume, okay? Because those are your results-oriented accomplishments from each of your past positions. You want to have a very clear, solid summary of qualifications at the top. However, on LinkedIn, in that section that's right under your photo, your LinkedIn profile summary can be more personal, and you can talk more about, you can use first person in LinkedIn versus on your resume, that's always third person. And your profile and summary can be a little bit more personal, talking about, what your career goals are long-term, as well as why you're interested in the industry that you're in and why you're passionate about it. It can be a little bit more personal in that way, okay? All right, so let's,
Hallie,
yeah.
One person chime in on that last question you had about updating, and it was Natalie. She said not at all, but she will from now on. So Natalie is giving her 2 cents worth.
Yay, okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And I gotta tell you all that, it's so important to do that. I know it can seem like, oh, that's the last thing that, I have time for, but there are so many clients that will come to us, I need my resume, and we ask them, they need it updated, and when do they need it done? Well, the job is open right now, and I need it in 2 days. And it's just unrealistic to do a good job on a resume that's such an important document and so complicated in that amount of time. And it is so much easier when they have all of this material to share with us right away. Makes it so much better. Okay, so tip number 3 is to tell your boss, your supervisor, HR, whoever it is appropriate to do so, let them know that you want to advance, okay? And ask for projects, if needed, to fill any gaps that you have in qualifications, okay? So here's the deal with this, is many employees take it for granted that their superiors know that they want to be considered for a promotion. And you don't want to assume this. You need to communicate your desire to be considered for a promotion with whomever it's appropriate to do so at your organization, okay? If this is appropriate. In some cases, it may not be. For example, if it's a small organization and the promotion would be for, let's say, your boss's job, and they would, feel like that, if that's not appropriate to tell them, obviously, then you may need to, handle it a different way and go through HR instead, okay? Or you may be wanting to move to a different firm. If that's the case with your boss and they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon, you may want to look at a different organization. But the point is here that you want to let people know that you do want to advance. There are too many times when clients will tell us, well, of course, yeah, I want to have career progression in my career. And we ask them, well, have you let people know that? And they say no. And then when they speak to them, they just, their supervisor just assumed that they were comfy and cozy in their current job. So you need to articulate that and be clear about it. From your resume review that you just did and we just talked about, you also, as part of this step, need to identify any possible gaps you have in your qualifications. And the two areas that you want to look at, you need to create a list of gaps in experience, education, or skills, okay, that need to be filled. And this would go into a promotion document that we want you to keep separately. So you have your resume, your accomplishments document, and a document for your promotion, for your plan for your promotion, so that you can keep track of, okay, these are the gaps that need to be filled, that I need to work on in the next, next quarter, next 2 quarters, whatever it is, in order to earn that promotion, so to speak, okay? So you want to identify what those gaps are and ask for projects to fill them, if that's necessary for the promotion or if it would be relevant at your current position. If it's not, do you need to take classes outside of your current job in order to move forward? The General Assembly is a great place to for continuing education. It's called General Assembly, and we've had a lot of clients go to that. There's a location here in Atlanta. They're all over the country, actually. But they have very good professional development courses that you can take in person. I believe they're located in Ponce City Market. So in some cases, it would be you can ask for additional projects at your current position. In some cases, it may be you need to go outside for that. But part of this promotion document, if you take a look on the slide here, is you need to track your progress towards your goal on a consistent basis. So whatever gaps you have that need to be filled, you need to keep track of how you're filling those and making sure that you're doing it in a timely manner to ask for that promotion in the mid-year or end of the year, whatever is appropriate, okay? All right, so let's look at tip number 4 here, is to enhance your skill set. And this piggybacks on what we just talked about. Consider coursework to enhance your qualifications. Ask your supervisor for ideas if that's relevant and would be helpful. Consider that although you may be awesome and a pro at your current position, don't take for granted that you will be an expert in everything at the position you are hoping to get, okay? You need to identify those gaps and realize that your skill set may not automatically transfer over to the skill set needed for the position that's above you, okay? So do take time to analyze the job description for the job that you want, and before you ask for that promotion, determine, okay, where am I qualified? And be very clear about where you all are qualified, because that's really important too, obviously, and where are you not qualified, and make a list of those things. So some of the courses that are places that we would suggest you look for possible coursework. We talked about General Assembly already. Lynda.com is a great website for online courses, as is Coursera. Also remember, take a look at your industry association, because they will often have classes that you can take as well, and even just local associations too. In some cases, the next or second bullet point here on the slide is there a certification that you can or need to obtain that would help you kind of, get the leg up and jump to that next level. You can also take a look at local college courses if they have any continuing or adult education classes too. The last 2 things on the slide here to think about in terms of identifying any gaps that you might have is take a look at and research the LinkedIn profiles of people that are in the higher level positions, the position that you would like to get into, and look at and check out what qualifications or relevant education or experience, what do they have? And what was their career path, to get kind of an inside look into the steps that you may need to take in order to get that next position, okay, to get that promotion. So this is another way that you can leverage LinkedIn. Search on the job title in your zip code for what the job is that you're looking for, what you're going for, and look at what their qualifications and past experience is, okay? Another great thing to do to prepare for asking for that promotion is to conduct informational interviews with those in those higher level positions so that you can find out more about what are the soft skills required for this job as well that you may not be able to tell from a LinkedIn profile or just a job description. You want to find out everything as much as possible that's going to be required for this next position. Okay. Tip number 5 is to take initiative. Work on tasks that you haven't been asked to. Offer solutions to problems that no one is talking about or speaking up about. And suggest improvements to processes in your current position or at your current organization. Okay, you want to start standing out as a leader, as someone who deserves that next promotion and is capable and ready for it. And this is one of the ways that you can do that, is taking initiative. The other thing that you want to do is observe and emulate the other leaders at your organization. What skills do they have, not just in terms of, hard skills or tangible things in terms of experience, but what are the soft skills that they have that you might need to improve? Do you need to be a little bit better about motivating your team or your coworkers in terms of leadership skills? Do you need to be able to handle conflict a little bit better or change in an organization? Those are some soft skills that your employer may be looking for to, for that person to promote, that you need to start demonstrating to them that you have, okay? And then finally, a tip here on the slide that I always like to share, this is something that I have to give credit to my mom. She always had said this to me before, which I thought was great, is to dress for the job you want. And what we're talking about right now is not just work attire, but I would consider that actually for male and female, that when you dress in a certain way, that look nicer for your current position even, and start to dress for the job that you're going for, you will feel more confident. And it does impact your behavior and how you come across and the impression you're making with people. So take initiative to update your wardrobe a little bit too, to be dressing for that next job that you would like to have. It will impact your mental state as well, which will therefore impact your actions. Okay, let's talk about tip number 6, and is being confident. And this kind of piggybacks on the one that we talked about before. So here's the deal with being confident. Your attitude is about, deserving the promotion and the desire for it. It's critical. Our attitude is critical to any action that we would take, because our attitude affects our actions on a regular basis, which in turn affects our outcome. And this is why at the very beginning, everyone, we talked about identifying what the obstacles were. Because if you're saying to yourself, maybe in your head, yeah, I want that next promotion, but in your body, you don't feel like you deserve it, or you've got some other emotion about it, you're not going to be aligned, and you're not going to be nearly as effective in preparing for and asking for that promotion as a result. 85% of our clients, when we ask them at the beginning of our coaching engagement with them, they say that they are their biggest obstacle to their career goals. So we get in our own way all the time. And like we talked about before, this can be related to the imposter syndrome or different things that we have going on in terms of our action steps, or our fears, if you will, okay? So what we want to do in terms of being more confident, that I want to recommend to you all, is 3 different things to help you boost your confidence towards asking for this promotion and feeling like you deserve it. In addition to the other things, the tangible things we talked about, you've got to get yourself prepared in terms of experience, education, and expertise, of course. But the less tangible things that will have a huge impact as well is to start writing down some affirmations about why you want and deserve the promotion, okay? So write down some positive affirmations. 1 or 2 is plenty. Post it on your bathroom mirror, on your dresser at home, whatever makes sense for you about deserving that promotion and why you deserve it, okay? Because this will help you feel better about going for it. The second thing you want to notice at work currently now is your body language. Is your body language at your current position, is it confident and assertive, or is sometimes it a little bit meek? Do you kind of sit back or shy away from speaking up in meetings? Do you not like sit up straight and walk around, you know, confidently when you're talking with a client or walking through the hallway, whatever it is? Be mindful of your body language, everybody, in the next week here to see how you're coming across and if you're coming across as a confident professional or if you're kind of shying away from things. And body language is also related to, or I would consider kind of as part of that, your tone, your volume and inflection when you're talking during meetings or to anybody else. And the last thing that you can do to start to build your confidence, and this actually piggybacks very nicely into presenting yourself for the promotion, is to list all of your past accomplishments. And when we have clients do this, we don't just have them list work accomplishments, we have them list personal accomplishments as well. Because when you go through that list and really think even far back to everything you've accomplished, and that list is long and robust and gives you a sense of like themes in your life about what you're good at, that will help boost your confidence as well, okay? So you need to consider that as part of being a leader right now in your organization, like we talked about before, okay? So tip number 7 is to be a leader, and I'm gonna give you some additional advice about that. So as you can see, there's themes here in this, and this slide has specific advice about things you need to do to demonstrate your leadership skills right away, okay, and start doing immediately. So one of the first things you need to do is consider how you can get better at and work towards motivating others a little bit more at your workplace, okay? Because this is a critical leadership skill that every organization wants to have. The second one on the slide here is take a little bit more of a leadership role in meetings or on your team so that you can build that muscle for yourself right now and identify where you do well as a leader, but also where you need some work, okay? Another thing that's very important, and I referenced this earlier, is demonstrate that you are able to handle conflict effectively. And if you feel like this is something that you need to be a little bit better at, one of the things we would suggest that is very helpful for developing your leadership skills is the book Emotional Intelligence, because these are the soft skills that an employer, they can't teach you. You either can develop it on your own or you have it or you don't, okay? So reading the book Emotional Intelligence can be really good to help you understand, and there's a quiz in there actually too, where you may fall short in terms of your emotional intelligence at work and as a leader, and where your strengths are that you can promote to your employer when it's time to ask for that promotion, okay? So you want to think about in terms of being a leader, are you truly being a leader in your current position and being your best self? And if you're not doing that right now, you need to make a list of the things that need to improve in order to demonstrate to your employer that you have those leadership abilities, okay? I wanted to share 2 more slides here that are related to this leadership concept, and it will help you with leadership skills as well. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you is when employers and recruiters are surveyed, you know, every few years about the top qualities that they're looking for in prospective candidates for a job or a promotion, okay, obviously those people need to have the hard skills and the experience and the qualifications. We get that. But the top 7 qualities that employers typically look for, whatever survey it is, they are always soft skills, everybody. And that's what I want you to get, that it's not just about, you know, the software that you know, are experienced in and the other experience you have that are, you know, hard, tangible skills. You need to demonstrate that you have credibility, that you're competent, but that you also have these 7 qualities on the slide here: the leadership ability, integrity, likability, competence, the courage, inner strength, and intelligence, okay? That you've got all of these other skills as well, and you need to make sure you're selling those while you're talking to them about your promotion. To understand better where you excel in your leadership style and where you need work or assistance, this wheel here demonstrates the top 10 leadership skills. This is from Development Dimensions International. It is a management consulting firm, okay, very highly regarded. And what I would recommend you do, everyone, is print out this leadership wheel with these top 10 leadership skills and rate yourself in each area so that you can understand where you need some work and where you excel, because this will be part of your presentation when you go for that promotion, part of what you include in the presentation. These are the things where I excel, and these are the couple of things that I need to be working on. But these are if you choose two, what I would recommend is choosing 2 categories on this wheel that you need to improve in the next 6 months in order to, once it's time to go for that promotion, in order to be in better shape as a leader, okay? And if you're willing to take even more of a risk, I would recommend you ask your supervisor where he or she thinks you excel in these areas too, so that you can get that objective feedback also, okay? One of the things I wanted to just mention before we keep going, everybody, because I will have time for Q&A at the end, but if anyone has additional questions or needs additional advice in addition to what we're talking about today, I'd be happy to offer you some free time to discuss your goals with you and help you with whatever questions and needs that you have. So please feel free to email me at hallie@halliecrawford.com. I just wanted to offer that to you guys today because I know that afterwards, especially, you may have a bunch more questions and things you need to, get some advice on. I'd be happy to do that, okay? All right, tip number 8 is to ask for and implement constructive criticism. So one of the hallmarks of a solid leader is being open to and asking for feedback and input. So what we want you to do starting right away as well to demonstrate that you're a leader, but also find out where different areas are that you need to improve in order to get that promotion, is you want to ask for and implement constructive criticism from your peers, from your supervisor, from your team, okay? And the incorrect response, by the way, to that constructive advice or criticism would be to dismiss it, blame, or criticize the other person, okay? What we want you to start thinking about is, how good are you about asking for feedback, everybody? And think about that right now. And actually requesting it, not just being good about when it's given to you unsolicited, but actually asking for it. And when you do ask for it or when you do receive it, think about what your response is. Of course, our first response can be to become defensive. I get that. But professionally, and what you show to the outside world, so to speak, is you need to accept it, obviously, implement it, and make those improvements. So as part of your promotions document, if there is anything that you feel your employer might be concerned about, you want to show them how you have improved on those different areas and skills, and also demonstrate to people right now that you welcome and want to solicit that constructive feedback, okay? All right, tip number 9 is to find a mentor. We think this is a really important piece to getting a promotion and just anyone's career progression and achieving their goals. There's a difference between a career coach and a mentor. A mentor is typically someone within your industry. They could be at your organization, but they don't have to be. But there's someone that can give you industry-specific advice about qualities that you need to develop in yourself to get that promotion, skills that you need to attain. They can give you that insider knowledge on what's crucial or new in your industry that you may have missed. But this is where attending association meetings are critical so that you're kind of in the know about what's going on. And they can also give you their opinion on your career progress. A career coach is different because we will help you write out your strategic career plan and spend a lot of time with you on how to achieve those goals. And they may or may not have that industry specific knowledge. It's more kind of like an athletic coach for your career that you talk to more often than you probably would a mentor, okay? So one of my questions here is how many people have a mentor that are on the call today? Please let us know in the chat box. And Rich, you can share with me if anyone responds in just a second here. But we definitely encourage you to work towards getting a mentor in order to work towards that promotion because they can give you some great advice, okay? And tip number 10, obviously, is to prepare for and conduct the meeting to ask for the promotion in the time frame that is, makes the most sense for your organization. So first of all, we talked a lot today about the preparation, the updating your resume on LinkedIn, reviewing your accomplishments. You need to also do some salary research to find out about what you need to be negotiating for. We like Indeed.com and Glassdoor.com for that salary research, okay? One of the things that we have had clients do for applying for a new job and even applying for that promotion is to create what we call like a brag book. It's a mini presentation inside of a bound book that you get done at Staples or Office Depot, whatever it is. But you have inside that brag book a presentation about, okay, here are the accomplishments that, I've achieved in the past X number of years. You include your resume. You include specific projects that you've worked on and what was the result there. And you can also include in here what your top 5 strengths are. For example, we've had clients take the StrengthsFinder assessment and include what their strengths are from that assessment in their brag book, and also include any kudos or awards or anything else that you've received. So we encourage you to create something like this. You need to have a hard copy, something to hand over and use during the course of your presentation for your promotion, okay? During the meeting, you want to obviously be really confident, present your case for the promotion, give a quick presentation using your brag book like we talked about, and then at the end of it, make sure that you ask for the promotion. And if they say it's, not immediately, it can be down the line, like hold their feet to the fire. If it's not immediate or it's not a possibility right now, what's the possibility or probability of it later on down the road in 3 months, 6 months, the next year, whatever it is? Invite them to be direct and honest with you about if there are any gaps that still need to be filled in order to get the promotion, but create a plan with your supervisor together about what you need to do in order to make this happen, okay? And just very quickly, 4 basics to avoid. These are, pretty obvious, but these will kind of boot you out of it, so to speak, the running for a promotion. Is if you're dishonest about something, if you're unreliable, honestly, if you're just negative, if you don't have a good positive attitude at work, you're not going to be considered for a promotion. And handling personal matters too often on company time. That's a problem with phones and social media and all of that. So those are basic things that you need to avoid that would prevent you from getting that next promotion, okay? So let's just take a look at what we talked about today just to finalize it and solidify it in your mind, and then we'll be able to go to Q&A here in just a minute. We talked about the common obstacles. You need to identify those first and think about how you can overcome those to move forward. 10 tips to get that next promotion. Remember, we want you to do it in the order presented, and the 4 basics to make sure you avoid so that you show yourself or demonstrate your leadership ability and that you're ready for that next step. All right, so let's close things out for just a moment here and give everyone a chance to ask any questions. And Rich, if you would field those for me, that would be great, like we talked about. And I just wanted to share this slide. Reminder for that strategy session, if you guys would like it. And actually, one of the things I wanted to share too here, let me pull up this next slide, everybody. Here are some suggested action steps that you can take in the next week. Ask your coworkers or employees for feedback, update your resume, the accomplishments document, or talking to your supervisor about, hey, I'd like to get a promotion. What do I need to do for it? Okay, Rich, we're ready for questions now. I just wanted to make sure we fit that in.
Sure, perfect. Thank you, that was awesome. If you guys have questions, please use the chat box to chime in, and I can relay those to Hallie if you guys will.
Yeah. And if we don't, that's okay too. I know it was a lot of information. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking so fast too. I need to make sure people can keep up.
I'll throw out a question to you while people are typing in theirs, if you don't mind, Haley.
Yep.
What's your take on the use of social media in preparing for promotion? I know you mentioned LinkedIn, but is there any other advice for that area that we should be paying attention to?
Yep, great one. So I would suggest if you need to establish your brand a little bit more within your industry and within your organization, like as a thought leader, honestly, what I would do is I would piggyback on the LinkedIn comment, and I would start being a little bit more active on LinkedIn. And what I mean by that is, sure, you could go start a blog, or, you could start tweeting or whatever, if you want to, that's fine. But if you're not doing anything now, just go with the low-hanging fruit and start with LinkedIn. Consider liking and commenting on other people's articles, sharing a little bit more there, and even, writing a couple of comments on, something that's newsworthy within your industry, or writing an article and post it on LinkedIn. I would get more active there, because that is a way that you can demonstrate that you're engaged and involved in your industry, and demonstrate, that you're a thought leader and you have opinions, and, so that's what I would do first if you haven't done anything. And if you have done enough on LinkedIn already, then what I would consider doing is posting on Twitter, using Twitter to just post different articles and try to gain a following that way. Does that answer?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's wonderful. Probably had a question. She asked if you could share the website for the leadership wheel.
Yes, the slide. Absolutely. Hold on. Go back to that. And remember, please feel free to email me if you want a copy of the slides too, because then you can just print it out. Happy to do that. It's Hallie@HallieCrawford.com.
And where was this from again?
Development Dimensions International is the company.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Hallie, I have a question.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that when you're interviewing, that the person that you're interviewing with is probably trained on how to interview. So your discussion about your brag book or your accomplishments, how do you prepare to because when I was interviewing people, I would pin them down on their accomplishments, and how do you prepare to justify or explain your accomplishments?
Using the STAR story method. So STAR stories, and you all can look this up on Google too, by the way, to get a more robust definition. But basically the STAR stories are examples in the past of when you've achieved a specific goal, or that illustrates a skill set that you have. So when someone asks you about your accomplishments or a skill set, you can't just say, yes, I have that. You give them a specific example from your past of when you achieved a certain result, and explain to them how you did that. What were the skills that you used? Because I am good at, X, Y, Z, this is why this result was achieved. So you explain your role in that project and what the skill set was that you leveraged. So the stories illustrating are critical, and you need to have several. You need to have at least, between 5 and 7 STAR stories that illustrate different things, accomplishments, but also when you dealt with a challenge or a conflict, and even an example of when you didn't, when you failed, and what you've learned from that and what you do differently now as a result. Does that answer, Bill?
Great advice. That's great advice. Thanks.
Okay, good. No problem. Anybody else?
Any other questions? Yep.
Those are good ones. Okay.
I think we might be good.
Terrific, Hallie. Thanks a lot. And I will say on your comment about coursework that everybody should check the ATD Atlanta.org website and see what courses are available. see what COP meetings are available so that you can sharpen your saw continually. And so look at the website. I would recommend that everybody, take a course or go to the chapter meetings or go to a COP event at least once a month.
I do too. I'm glad that you said that, Bill, because I was thinking that in the back of my mind is recommending, obviously, your organization as a way to do that. And it keeps us engaged in our careers and in our job, because sometimes it can get stagnant. It happens to everybody, the best of us. So you do want to do that, because not only will you sharpen your saw and stay abreast of what's going on and what's important in your industry, but it keeps you more engaged and enthusiastic. And it will give you, ideas of solutions that you could present to demonstrate your leadership ability, all of that. So that's great. All right. Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate your time today.
Hallie, thanks a lot. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. We'll be in touch. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
Rich. You too.
You betcha, guys. I'm going to stop recording.